Okay, enjoy your meeting.
Thank you, John. Really appreciate John Casita's hospitality. I think he's on call 24 hours a day for the county. I don't know how it works, but I'm glad he does, because this is a wonderful facility, and it's really, EPEC appreciates being able to use the Eco Living Center today. So with that, I would like to call the 2008 annual meeting of the Environmental and Peace Education Center to order. From now on, I'll be using the term EPEC instead of Environmental and Peace Education Center. My name is Tom Yelcher. I'm the president of EPEC, and that reminds me of a story. And it would work so much better if Warren Wright were here already, but I'm going to give it anyway because that's what I plan to do. It was about a little less than 4 years ago. I had gone to a meeting of a Move On organization. They had a precinct organizers meeting for the fall election, the John Kerry campaign. And besides the Move On organizer, there were only 3 other people at that meeting. One was Warren Wright, one was Brian Bigelow, the other was myself. Now, Warren Wright, after that meeting, went on to become a Fort Myers City Councilman. And Brian Bigelow went on to become a Lee County Commissioner. And I was fortunate enough to go on and eventually become the president of EPEC. But the question that I have, among the 3 of us, why aren't I drawing a paycheck? But despite that, I'll move on to the first item on the agenda. Did you all get a copy of the agenda at the front table? As I say, despite that, the state of the organization is good, and I'd like to just briefly review some of the major activities that we've been involved in the past year. Actually, we began last May, after I'd become president, by having a potluck meeting at Ellen Peterson's home. And we all sat down, we broke bread together, and we just shared what do we want EPEC to do in the future, where do we want to move with the organization. And I think we had 20 or 25 people at the potluck. And at the end, one term that really came forth was community gardens and also Peace Fair. And we spent the next couple of months really going, I barely forgot until I started looking at our agenda. I have pieces of butcher paper on the wall with all possibilities. We want to do this, we want to do that. And we did spend most of last summer revising our brochure, redesigning the EPEC website. Holly Rowan was a very instrumental part of that. We discontinued renting space at the Unitarian Universalist Church to economize. And we started a Yahoo group so that members of EPEC, the active members who wanted to be in touch with each other, could do so on the internet just by sending an email to epeace@yahoogroups.com. And that way we're all in touch with what's going on. We propose ideas in between meetings. One important event last summer, Holly Round and I participated in. We and 10 other peace activists from different cities in Florida met with Senator Bill Nelson to talk with him specifically about the war in Iraq, which I don't know that I don't believe he had any meetings previous to that, to last summer on the war in Iraq. His website was very vague on the issue, and we wanted to hear more about his feelings about the war, where he stood, and try and move him closer in our direction. And at the meeting, it seemed like we made a little progress. He said his position was evolving, and evolving could be into eternity too for that point. But it was the Florida for Peace organization that set up the meeting with Senator Nelson. We appreciate meeting with him, and we hope he'll move a little bit faster on the issue, as will many other members of Congress. Last August, we held a Hiroshima Nagasaki observation. The atomic blasts in Japan in 1945 that the United States dropped the first bombs, nuclear bombs dropped on the population. And that was in Centennial Park. We had a nice program, a few people talking, and we ended the evening by dropping flowers on the water in the Coxsackie. In September, we began to show the film Kilowatt Hours. It's an environmental energy documentary. Gives a lot of tips on solar and other things that people can do to save money on their energy bills and to have an impact in preserving, cleaning up the environment, not using so much coal or nuclear. September 15th was a National Day of Resistance to the war in Iraq. We had a vigil with signs on Route 41 and Colonial at the intersection there, and then we followed that with a peace rally at the Amana Reading Center just off of Route 41. Oh, great. Can everyone hear me? Okay. Does that sound better?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It'll help me. Thanks, John. So we made plans during the summer in terms of the community gardens, and Holly Round, Nancy Feraldi, some of our other members participated. We got the first garden underway at the First Christian Church in Lehigh Acres. The pastor, Glenna Tibbs, really wanted to establish a garden there. We're also involved in the, is it called the Page Field Park?
Page Park.
Page Park Community Center.
Yeah.
And they have a garden that some of our members have been working with. And Holly, being a member of the Unitarian Universalist Church, has been actively working on the Holton Preserve. And Holly and Liz have hooked up the rain barrel at the Unitarian Church. They have two now hooked up.
We did also at the First Christian Church.
Right.
Hook up their rain barrels.
Right.
We got them donated from EPEC.
And where did you take a rain barrel workshop?
Rotary Park. We did it at Rotary Park, actually. They do them here
okay,
at
right.
Rotary Park.
I took mine here.
But
Right.
but we did
Barrel here.
through the yards, neighborhood and yards, and come to a lot of classes here too to get us going.
We've had our EPEC literature table at different events. Jazz on the Green last fall, Martin Luther King Jr. Day observance downtown in Centennial Park, and most recently at Earth Day down in Gresham. And last fall we sponsored the 2007 Southwest Florida Peace Fair, and it looks like it's becoming an annual Peace Fair because there's going to be another one this December. And that was it was a fun event. It was a very interesting event. We were able to get 30 churches and community organizations together to participate at the Peace Fair, including Muslims. We had a rabbi who addressed the crowd. We had some wonderful speakers, incredible music, and I think it was an important event. It was the first step towards trying to bring the community closer together, to working together with each other. And along that line, at FGCU, the past several months we've been meeting with a couple other community organizations and several student groups at a potluck, a monthly potluck, and usually there's a program. EPEC sponsored the March program. We did a program on the Winter Soldier campaign, which nationally is sponsored by Iraq Veterans Against the War. We were able to bring in the folk singer, songwriter, Ann Feeney. It was just incredible. It was the first time I'd ever seen her. I know many of you have seen her several times that you've been in the area, and we hope to bring her back again. We also started a monthly EPEC discussion group. So far we've been meeting at the Black Hawk Coffee Cafe once a month, and all of these events are open to the public, whether you're an EPEC member or not. So it was great to have like-minded people get together and literature table or march or stand in a vigil, march in a peace walk. bright red. Wage Peace Lee is a component of EPEC, but it's largely an independent project of Nancy Howell and another woman named Judy Alvis, and they have been doing military counter-recruiting in the high schools in Lee County for about 3 years now. And the success that they've been able to attain has been incredible. Previously, the military, the recruiters had almost free reign over the schools. They could talk to the students in the cafeteria, in between classes, wherever. And now they have to make an appointment through the guidance counselor to meet with a student who actively wants to meet with a military recruiter. So that's an incredible difference because
I'm clapping because I didn't really make it happen, but I'm really glad.
I think you had a little bit to do with it.
I pushed.
I mean, the kids in high schools, 15, 16, 17, 18, they're very impressionable, and a lot of them who don't do well in school don't see a future for themselves, and then a military recruiter comes in and says, we'll give you money for school, what do you like to do? We could probably get you doing something in the military that you would like to do. And generally what they don't like to do is go to Iraq, but that is generally where they end up once they sign up and enlist. We have also reconstituted our conflict resolution task force, which has been a passion of our former long-term president of EPEC, Phyllis Stanley. And, Phyllis has worked with EPEC, 26 years now. Bobby Heinrich, Ellen Peterson, they were all in it on the beginning when EPEC was founded. And 26 years later, you think Phyllis might retire and, smell the coffee, but she is so passionate about conflict resolution. And she has a new recruit in Gene Selden. There's Gene in the back. And just a couple of days ago on Friday, we had a wonderful presentation with community services, human services, 20 people. We did a day-long train the trainers workshop. And I commend you, Phyllis. I think it's wonderful what you've been doing. Not only the last 26 years, but that you continue to work to negate conflict. As you said once, and I have you on video saying, we'll always have conflict, but violence doesn't have to be. We don't have to have violence. We can settle our conflicts peacefully, reasonably, democratically. Anyway, I'm taking too much time, and I'm telling everyone I'm going to speed this agenda along.
No, it's good though. This is a great.
Doing great.
Yeah, when I look back at our past agendas in the past year, I was like, wow. I was amazed at some of the stuff we did. Recently, we formed an environmental task force, and we will be doing more on the Cool Cities and Cool Counties program and the CAPS program, which stands for what, Nancy?
Community Action Plan.
Community Action
For
Plan.
reducing emissions, setting a date, doing surveys, and then setting a date for reducing emissions. Surveying, all parties, households, businesses, municipality emissions. And then crunching the numbers and setting a goal. It's a community action plan.
So that's working with community organizations as well as local governments. So we'll be doing a lot more in that line in the next year. And previous to this year, the last several years, we've mainly been concentrating on Iraq, on the Middle East, on foreign policy, on the peace issue. And as I say, last year we've kind of put the environment, back in EPEC. And so this is a continuation of that. We sadly observed the 5th anniversary of the war in Iraq. In March, we had a peace walk on Colonial to Route 41, and then a candlelight vigil in that little park by the Midpoint Bridge. They recently dedicated a Vietnam Wall to servicemen and women from Florida who died in Vietnam. most recently, there was a potluck yesterday, the monthly potluck at Florida Gulf Coast University, and we have formalized the Peace Fair Organizing Committee, whereas last year the Peace Fair was sponsored solely by EPEC, and this current year the Peace Fair Organizing Committee will be made up of EPEC, Progressive Student Alliance, and other community and student organizations. The Peace Fair will be held in December at Florida Gulf Coast University, and so we're really, looking at a different venue. 6 months ago, we held the Peace Fair right in the football field right here at Ruttenberg Community Park. So we're looking for a new experience, but the issue of peace will never die. And so, as I say, I think the state of the organization is pretty good, and you're all invited to participate. We meet the second Monday of every month at the Edwards Building, right next to the Alliance for the Arts. If you're interested in getting more information, we have a sign-up sheet on the literature tables over there. Just quickly, the next item on the agenda is the EPEC bylaws amendment, and I will just read along with the rest of you. We have been requested to make a change in Article 3 of our constitutional bylaws. The section is called Participation in EPEC. The last sentence of that section currently reads, only those who have been members of EPEC for at least 2 weeks before the election, the annual election, and are present at the annual meeting are entitled to vote at meetings of EPEC members. The proposed changes would have the last sentence read, only those who have been members of EPEC for at least 2 weeks and are present are entitled to vote at meetings of EPEC members. So this requires a motion from the floor. Any EPEC member who, Nancy?
I move that we adopt this change in our bylaws.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next section is the election of the 2008-2009 EPEC officers and board members. And since I am a candidate for re-election, I didn't think it would be too kosher for me to conduct the official elections. So Nancy Howell, representing our nominating committee, will take the floor and handle this task.
Okay.
And I'll try not to get tied.
So you'll see on your agenda the list of proposed officers and board members, altogether 8 people. And incidentally, that board meets once a month over in the Edwards Building at the Alliance of the Arts, and all members of EPEC are welcome to participate. What we have found this year is as people start coming to the board, they get more active in the organization, and the next thing you know, they get nominated to the board. And so that explains some of the changes in names between last year and this year. So I was the head of the nominating committee. I guess I was the nominating committee. And came up with Tom Welcher as the president, Cindy Highsmith. Cindy, where are you? Back at the table. Wave your hand. As vice president, Nancy Feraldi as treasurer. There she is. And Dana Fogelsong as secretary at the back table there. And the board members who don't have a specific office but who are equally active in the organization are Robert Bennett, who wasn't able to be here today, Holly Rowan over here, Jean Selden in the back, and Phyllis Stanley, who is not only nominated to be a board member, but is our, what's your title, Phyllis? President Emerita. Correct. She doesn't have to get voted on for that. So I call, does anybody have a nomination aside from this for any of these offices? Don't everybody speak at once? Can I have a motion to adopt this board for the 2008-9 year? So moved. So moved. Second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. While I'm up here, let me make the financial report, because I'm also the treasurer. You'll notice that the budget for the year is on the back of your agenda sheet. You'll notice we're using both sides of the sheet like good environmentalists. And I think the main thing to notice here, incidentally, the numbers as they were transmitted got themselves out of alignment. I don't know how that happened, and it doesn't mean anything. So don't try to interpret some meaning to that. The numbers there should add to the numbers in bold print.
Blame Microsoft.
What you will notice mainly is that we started the year and ended the year in very much the same situation. A little bit more than $6,000 in our assets and a bank account of some $500. During the year, we spent about $6,500, and no, we had an income of $6,500 and paid expenses of $6,300, and so we added a few $100s to our assets. But I think the main thing that you need to see when you look at this is, considering all the work that got done over the last year, this is a very small budget. That's what I hope you will take from reading this list. Okay? Any questions about the budget?
Anybody want to make more donations? Feel free.
Actually, I'm going to come back and talk about that.
Oh, good.